Hi, part1 here. We are in Holy Week now. I want to explain to you where this Holy Week comes from. All from the Roman Empire. You must keep in mind a very wise Latin phrase. Tempora mutantur et nos mutamur in illis. Times change and we change with them. Nothing remains as it used to be. Language changes, everything changes. Even the days of the week and everything. It all originated from the Roman religion. Many gods were, many gods. Here we have the genius that everybody had, like a guardian angel. And Esculapius, the god of healing, and we have Flora, the goddess, and then we have all the gods of the fields. And here's the Roman Empire. Look at how huge that was. Everything that we have today, the calendar, the gods, religion, everything come from the ancient Roman Empire. The calendar especially, ancient Rome, there were 10 months. And the first month was March, the god of war. March, April, dedicated to Venus. May, Maya, the third month. June, another goddess. Quintilis, the fifth month, which will become July, to the god and savior Iulius Caesar. Then the sixth month, August, and dedicated to and then the seventh month, September, then October, November, and December, means the 10th month. Later on, it was added, thanks to the god Iulius Caesar, who added the 2-month, January, began the first month, and dedicated to the openings, January, the openings, endings, and beginnings, and then the February, dedicated to the founders of Rome, the Luperci, the wolf. A sacred cave in Rome was the Lupercal, and it was dedicated to in February. That's the reason St. Valentine's Day, February. St. Valentine's Day, February. Iulius Caesar was a Christus, was a Christ, was a savior, considered a savior, son of Venus. Well, he was famous for his clementia societies, forgiving the enemies, turning the other cheek. He wanted to give money to the poor, etc., etc. And then he was. It was the senators were very jealous, again, war all the time. He fought against the Senate. Anyway, the civil war started. He ended up being killed by the Senate. 23 stab wounds, and of course, it was a mass confusion. That particular day, the Jews, the people from Judea, they were Romans, and they were merchants all over the empire. They loved Iulius Caesar. He protected them. He considered them the son of, they considered him the honorary son of David, and all that. So they were the first ones attending his funeral, and he lay in there. Then, of course, Mark Antony was his priest. He was the Flamen Divifilius, the priest of the god Iulius Caesar. And the Iulius Caesar, of course, as customary, was his wax image was put in a tropaeum, in a crossed-up thing. They moved around, called a mechane, and that's why the whole thing started. 3 months later, in July, the year 44 BC, a comet appeared during the Caesar's funeral games given by his grandnephew, which was Octavius. And there was also the games was combined with those of his mother, Venus, Genetrix, the life giver, in July. And in that particular day, a comet appeared. The time comet that lasted 10 days. This is historical records. From there, of course, Octavius was so amazing. Incredibly smart. He said, oh, there is God. There is a proof that my family, the Iuli, was really descendant of Venus, the mother of God, and our mother, and so forth. So anyway, he started building later on temples. He was not a complete emperor yet. He had to fight. Mark Antony was with Cleopatra. In 31 BCE, the Battle of Actium, Octavius became the exalted, the son of God, the Divifilius. He defeated Mark Antony and Cleopatra, it was a goddess, the goddess Isis, equivalent to Mary Magdalene, the Lady of the Tower. And but anyway, he defeated them. She actually was killed by Augustus. By Octavius. Cleopatra. Everybody thinks it's a snake. No, it was not. Everything, all the records seems like it was absurd that a snake actually was used. Actually, he ended up, getting her killed. and then having the story of the snake later on because of the mythology and all that stuff, because the snake was sacred. The snake was sacred. Octavius, or Gaius, which means son of the earth, from Gaius. Gaius. Gaius Octavius Caesar Augustus. Augustus means exalted one. Exalted one. So he became actually a god, a controller of the Roman Empire, a divine person, the Son of God, had becoming the son of the Father in heaven. And he started building temples. He built the temple of Mars Ultor with the Mars and Venus and the statue of Iulius Caesar, which you can see in the forum today. And he started building all that and building coins with the resurrection of Iulius Caesar, with the star of Caesar around the top of the coin. You can see this. This is evidence, it's historical. And but anyway, what happened is, at that particular time, the religion of the God and Savior Augustus and the leader began to eclipse all the other religions. That's what started with this so-called the Catholic Church. It wouldn't be cemented until 325 years later. But the interesting about it is that Octavius, and there's a lot of the records, says that he started eliminating the other religions. And in Perugia, in the city of Perugia, there were like 300 senators. He ended up killing them because they didn't believe that he was a god, and he was kind of, manipulating. So Augustus didn't put up with that. He was a God and Savior. He was the Son of God, Dibiphilius. And then he died in 14 CE. But the interesting about it is that his successor, Tiberius, which will become also the Son of God and all that, and will have his temples like the rest of Roman emperors have their temples because he was Son of God. He refused. He said, I'm not a son of God or anything like that. I don't want to do it. But then he started changing. This is what the whole, instead of being the foundation of Rome, counting the years, there was a discrepancy on the 15 years. So actually, he started calling the day that Augustus was considered a god. And that will be 15 years before. That's what we have today. AD, Anno Domini, which means the year of the Lord, and the Lord was Augustus. So he he established the Pax Romana, and it's interesting that he ended up also having the Evangelium, the good news. And Octavius was elevated in the part of Jupiter, and his father in heaven, Iulius Caesar Christ, and there were temples built all over the place, including in Roman Judea. Where the merchants lived, which are called now today are called the Jews, and they the temples built in Jerusalem are all built in the Roman style all over the empire, everywhere, with the image of Augustus. I mean, this is evidence. You can see the archaeology there. So that's why you can never find a Jesus Christ anywhere. There's no evidence. In the cities of Pompeii, Herculaneum, or Pluntis, buried by Vesuvius in 79 CE, the 24th of August, there's no evidence. Zero evidence of a Christ and disciples. Nothing. None of that stuff. That will be created later on the foundations of the cult of the main institution of Augustus being the Son of God, the Prince of Peace that he was considered. And it's interesting because we can also see that there is in the city of Assos, and the ancient city in Turkey, and they found a plate that says, the beginning of the gospel, Arche tu Evangelio, which means the good news of Caesar. Seems to have been widespread in the Greco-Roman world, and they had a stone that says, a plaque that read, the birthday of the god, Augustus, was for the world the beginning of Evangelion, the Evangelion because of him, and Mark, the Apostle Mark was apostle uses the same formula to open his books. The beginning of the Gospels. Arche tu Evangelium of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Theohios. Even the Greek phrase Son of God was common, used for Augustus. There is a marble pedestal in Pergamum that is carved, the Emperor Caesar, Son of God. Augustus. Mark begins with a mythical biography of Jesus with ready-made language and concepts, intending perhaps to challenge Evangelium, good news of gospel, is not of Caesar, but of Christ nowadays.